oh hey, I didn't see you there. As you probably already know, it's E3 time. So I thought, let's just do what everyone and their mom is doing and make some E3 predictions. Specifically Nintendo's E3, because we know Sony's not going to be there, and I don't really care about Microsoft. So, yeah, it's probably worth noting that I never really predict stuff, because I'm really bad at predictions. I'm just like, I don't know, something will come out when it comes out. But I thought, hey, why not play the game and just kind of say what I think might happen and see how accurate I can be. We all know that all of my predictions are going to be 100% accurate. So let's start by making predictions about games we already know are planning to come out this year. First things first, Animal Crossing. We all expect it to be at E3, and I'm going to say it. It's going to be at E3. Considering that Animal Crossing was announced last September, and we haven't seen anything about it since, I think it's highly likely we're going to see it at E3, assuming it hasn't been delayed to next year. But assuming it comes out still this year in 2019, I think we're going to be seeing a lot of Animal Crossing. I think this is going to be the game they probably focus on the most, if anything, because I feel like it's probably the biggest game they've got to talk about for the year. And I think that this is where they're finally going to show some gameplay, and they're finally going to give a general ballpark for the release date. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think this game is going to release in December. It's possible that it might release in somewhere like in September, but I don't think it's going to release in October or November. I think this game will either be a September or December release. I'm going to go ahead and say this is their big December game. This is their winter game. I think this Animal Crossing 2019 will be the game that they try to use to get people to buy Switches this Christmas season. I've got no ideas for like the Animal Crossing title. I don't have any specific predictions like that, like, oh, it's going to be called Animal Crossing this. It could be something regarding an island for all I know. Maybe you're on an island. Fucking, I don't know. But I feel like December is a good release. I originally thought Animal Crossing was going to end up coming out in like the spring or summer, but considering it's been absent until now, there's no way they're going to release it this summer without giving like at least a few months of hype around it. I think Nintendo wants to hype up their games a little bit, and they're not going to announce it this month and release it next month or even the month after. Stepping a little bit back in time, we're going to talk about Luigi's Mansion. I think Luigi's Mansion is, of course, going to be at E3. We saw some gameplay in September. They got a lot of the game made, I feel like. So considering that, I think this is going to be at E3, and I think it's going to be scheduled to release in October. I think they're going to try to push Luigi's Mansion to close to a Halloween release or sometime before Halloween. I could definitely see this one coming out in September potentially. Considering that Mario Odyssey came out in October of 2017, I think that Luigi's Mansion has a good chance of being in an October slot. We know Fire Emblem is coming out in July, so obviously we're going to see a little something of Fire Emblem. I don't know how much they have to show off since I've never played a Fire Emblem game. I don't know how much new information they have to share about Fire Emblem, so it's possible they may not show off much if they've kind of gotten most of the bulk of everything done and out of the way, but considering it comes out next month, they'll at least give us a, hey, remember this game? It's still coming out, don't forget. So I think Fire Emblem is definitely going to be there considering, yeah, it comes out soon. Mario Maker 2 is a little bit of a tricky one, because obviously Mario Maker 2 will be there, but it comes out in like a couple of weeks, so I don't really know how much they're going to plan to show off. I feel like everything they've shown off about Mario Maker 2 from this point, like up until now, has been all the big selling points. Here's why we want you to buy the game. They've already shown everything that I think they want to sell people on. So at this point, if they show off any new information about the game, it's going to be maybe some minor things, some like minor mechanical things, or maybe some in-depth on like the UI or something. But even then, I don't know. Like, I feel like I don't know how much they still have to show off about the game. I think this will be similar to like Fire Emblem in that they may not show off much, maybe a couple of new pieces of information, but for the most part, I think the most Mario Maker will end up pretty much saying was going to be like, hey, you bought this game already? So yeah, they might have some new stuff to show off. Maybe they've just done some really crazy mechanical things with the game and they're just like, oh yeah, now you can turn into Squid, and they got some weird Splatoon crossover. Fucking, I don't know what they've got going on. Or they've got something where like you can like attach rockets to pipes or something, or whatever they've done with this game. And I think if they've done anything really crazy, they probably would have shown it off by now. So I think most people who are already planning to get the game have already purchased it. And they might try to just swing over just a few extra people at the last second, kind of like, hey, comes out in a couple of weeks. You gotta buy it. Don't forget to buy Mario Maker 2. It's the hottest game of the year. So I know we just had the Pokemon Direct, so I don't really think we're gonna get a lot of Pokemon news. I think at the most we'll maybe get like Pokemon Company and Game Freak might be there to be like, yeah, here's two new Pokemon or something like that. Maybe two or three new Pokemon will be revealed. But honestly, considering we just had our Pokemon Direct, I wouldn't expect a lot of Pokemon news, but I feel like it's E3. They'll probably do a quick refresher of the Direct for those that maybe didn't see it, and maybe we'll show off a couple of new Pokemon. But other than that, I don't think they're going to give us some insane news, anything really new regarding the mechanics. I know it's a new generation and they're going to try to show off new pieces of information little by little, but they've got all the way until November to give us all the information we would need about the game. Last year for Let's Go, they just kind of did a passing, hey, remember, Let's Go's coming out this year, and that was kind of it. I don't know if they'll do anything that light, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was just, yeah, anyway, Sword and Shield's still happening, bye, and then that's all we get for Pokemon. I could definitely see a new Pokemon or two, or maybe three revealed to kind of give a little bit more of what the new Pokemon are going to be like. New generation, maybe a new 80 to 100 new Pokemon, so they're kind of going to want to like sprinkles them in on occasion. But I don't think they'll announce everything before the game comes out because I think they'll want at least a little bit of surprise. We know that Link's Awakening is coming out sometime this year, and it's going to be playable at E3, so I do think we're going to have it somewhere in the Direct. They showed off some gameplay during the last General Direct, so I think the game is probably pretty close to being completed, give or take. I mean, probably a few months away. I would honestly say that this game is going to come out. I'm going to go for a September release. I originally thought this might have been their big December game, but I'm not quite sure. Considering we've seen like nothing about Animal Crossings up until this point, I think Animal Crossing's come out much later this year. But I think Link's Awakening, considering we've seen some gameplay, and they're basically just remaking like a Game Boy game that isn't really that big in the first place, I think for the most part, we're going to be seeing this game coming out in like August or September. I'm going to put my money on September because I think they're going to want to start to kind of kick off the holiday season with something kind of big and end it on something else kind of big. Obviously, we know Smash Bros. Is going to be there. We're going to get a new DLC character for the game announced. And you know what that means? I know that I'm on record in saying that I think Steve is going to be one of the DLC characters, and I think he'll be announced at E3. And this one's kind of tricky because I do think he's going to be a DLC character, but there's been some rumors going around lately that Banjo and Kazooie are going to be DLC characters. I could honestly see both happening very likely. It's kind of tricky with the Smash DLC. At their core, like take, Nintendo and Microsoft, they're companies, and I think they're going to try to put characters in the games that, are marketable, that kind of have something going on with them. Banjo and Kazooie, as far as I know, don't have any games coming out anytime this year. Who knows? E3 could be the time to announce a Banjo-Kazooie remake or port or a new or a sequel or something. But unless Microsoft is planning to do something like that, I kind of don't see Banjo-Kazooie making it into Smash. I know these words are probably going to bite me in the ass if they get announced. I feel like for the most part, they're going to try to put in characters that they know they can market in some new game or some DLC or something. I know that's, Minecraft doesn't need extra marketing help from Nintendo. But I know that Minecraft does have its new dungeon thing, treasure thing. At this point, I just want Steve in the game because I've already predicted it and I just want to be right, But I've already gone on record saying that I think it's going to be Steve, so I guess I should probably stick with it. Here's what I think. I think for Smash DLC, I think at E3 this year, they're going to announce 2 DLC characters. Not just 1, but 2. I think this because if Steve is going to be announced as a character for DLC, I think Nintendo kind of knows that not every hardcore fan is going to be in love with that idea. So I think for the most part, they might try to soften the blow a little bit by announcing another character that's highly requested as well. Something that I think a lot of people might be happy with. It could be Banjo and Kazooie if we potentially get 2 Microsoft reps. I don't see that being super likely, but anything's possible at this point. Maybe, this seems to be a very Dragon Quest heavy year, so I wouldn't be surprised if we get a Dragon Quest character announced as well. While Banjo Kazooie would be cool characters, I've never played Banjo Kazooie, so I don't really care either way. I think Nintendo does want to bring in more people into playing Smash, and I don't necessarily think that doing that with Banjo and Kazooie are going to be the way to do it. They hit a massive nostalgia nerve for people who already own Smash. Adding Steve as a character could potentially bring in a lot of new players into Smash. I mean, imagine all the people who played Minecraft when it came out, who were like 10, 11 years old or whatever, and who are now 17, 18, who might not play Smash. And seeing Steve being put in the game might get a lot more people playing Smash. I think Nintendo wants to bring in younger audiences and newer people, other than their dedicated Nintendo fans. So that's why I think, Steve has a pretty good chance. But honestly, it's up in the air. Anyone could be in. I could be in for all you know. Maybe I'm the new DLC character. I'm going to go ahead and officially predict Steve and or Banjo-Kazooie. I just say every video game character I can think of and cover all my bases. I think it's going to be Steve, and I think we're getting a Dragon Quest character. I don't know any of them, but I've heard the name Erdrick, so I'm going to go with him. So those are currently all my predictions for games that I personally sort of care about. But now we get into the games that haven't been announced yet. These are not games that have been announced or confirmed yet, but I'm going to go ahead and say they're coming to the Switch this year. And I don't know that for a fact, but I'm just saying it very confidently so that it happens. So first things first, I think Pikmin 3 is going to be ported over to the Switch. I know, another Wii U port, you're screaming, no, not another one, but I love Pikmin. And honestly, even if they just ported the entire trilogy over, oh my God. They're going to port over the entire trilogy. Okay, but at least they're going to port over Pikmin 3, I feel like. Obviously, we know the Wii U didn't do very well, and I think Nintendo does want a lot of these Wii U games to have a second life on the Switch, and I think Pikmin 3 might be one of those games that's on their list. It's E3, it's happening, and you know what? It's going to be ported, and it's coming out this summer. I'm going to go for it. August. It's coming out in August. I think this E3 is going to be the time that we get the Metroid Prime Trilogy HD. And I think we're finally going to have it revealed at E3. They're going to show us Metroid Prime Trilogy HD. Because I think, with Metroid Prime 4 having to restart its development, I think that's putting a lot of Metroid fans in kind of a sour mood. So I think they're going to toss out the trilogy in HD just to kind of tide them over for the next few years until Metroid Prime 4 is ready to be shown off. Something that hasn't been shown off yet, you know what? I'm just going to say it. We're all thinking it. Pokemon Snap for Labo VR is going to be announced at E3 this year. Oh, you just wait. I'm so excited. I know Pokemon had their press conference to talk about it and show it off, but that wasn't really the place. The press conference? Oh, that was just for men in suits who don't care about video games. They want Pokemon Sleep and other mobile games and things like that and all that jazz. But E3, that's where you got to hit the real gamers. The real gamers love Pokemon Snap and Labo VR. And so I think they're going to just do it. They're saying, you know what? We're giving you Pokemon Snap with Labo VR. We're getting it. It's coming out. It's going to come out. It's coming out next month. I'm just going to say it. It's coming out next month or sometime this year. Maybe next year. Maybe never. But it's coming out this year. I know it for a fact. That kind of leaves me with one more prediction. And I think arguably the most important prediction I'm going to make in this video. Sonic Boom port for the Nintendo Switch.